about the universal laws, or more specifically, manifesting in harmony with the universal laws. Growth gang, welcome back to another growth talk. Today we're going to talk about the universal laws, or more specifically, manifesting in harmony with the universal laws. So there's 12 universal laws when it comes, it's more specific to manifestation. So there's the law of divine oneness, which basically just means that we're all interconnected. All conscious beings in the universe are interconnected. The number 2, the law of vibration. According to this law, everything has a vibration or like a frequency. Like everything has a vibration. Like I'm currently vibrating. Like I'm emitting a frequency. So like that's what people mean by, you know what I mean? High vibration, high frequency. Everything has a vibration, and you can enhance your vibration and raise your frequency. Number 3, the law of correspondence. This law suggests that that patterns repeat like throughout the universe. So it's like the law of correspondence. Like there's always going to be that corresponding correlation. Like, so, I'm not even explaining that right. The law of correspondence. This law suggests that patterns repeat throughout the universe, reflecting the idea that what happens on one level of reality happens on the other. So it's like the microcosm has, you know what I mean, and the macrocosm are all intertwined. Like when you're affecting something at a macro level, you're also affecting it at the micro level. So at different levels, you're having that effect. So number 4 is the law of attraction, which is like, I feel like it's been taken so far out of context. This popular law posits that like attracts like. So like that's the law of attraction. Somehow all of these universal laws have basically been intertwined and packaged up as like the law of attraction, when really the law of attraction is like attracts like. That is the law of attraction. Similar frequencies attract similar frequencies. Similar vibrations attract similar vibrations. So that's the law of attraction, that you attract what you emit. So like there's definitely, you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of these laws have been pooled into the law of attraction when it's just one of the pillars when it comes to the manifestation process. Number 5 is the law of inspired action, which I feel is the missing link. It's the part that nobody's actually doing. Like you need to take action. It doesn't matter how woo-woo you are. You can put away the sage. You can stop meditating for an hour and a half a day. You can stop all the personal development stuff in the morning. If you were taking dedicated action. All of those things definitely put you in a better place and in alignment, you know what I mean, to make it so that when you're taking your inspired action, that it's probably better action. But without the action, all of the other stuff is useless. It will not bring you what you want. Like, it really won't. Like some people, they get into more of the woo-woo stuff and they realize that they didn't actually desire what they desired, and they find that fulfillment outside of what they were pursuing. So like there's definitely that side to it, and that's a blessing. But you need to take action. Like you really do. You need to take action. The law of cause and effect. This law asserts that every action has a corresponding reaction. And like it's good because like it sets that plane for responsibility. Like my input is going to yield an output. Thus cause effect. So I have full accountability and full responsibility as a man, because at some point I did something that created that input to yield the output. Cause and effect. Number 7 is the law of compensation. This law states that the universe compensates you for your efforts and actions. Again, actions. You're being rewarded for your actions. So that's a good place to like, I feel like that a lot of people don't have enough faith in that. Like they seem to think like, oh, it's all coming to me, and like what's meant for me is meant for me. And like there is a degree of that to operate from, for sure. I don't want to take away from it. I was acting a little bit more condescending than maybe necessarily called for, but like it's just like, it's almost like having faith that like I'm going to be compensated for my efforts, for your actions. Like if you are taking actions towards an end game, towards a goal, you will be compensated for it. And like the funny part is like if you're not so rigidly pursuing the compensations, they come faster, oddly enough. Like compensation doesn't just have to be money. Like it's not just monetary compensations. Like there's definitely other ways to be compensated, but yeah. So number 8 is the law of relativity. This law explains that everything in life is relative. Our experiences and challenges can seem more or less significant depending on our perspective, because everything is relative to you. It really is. Like people always want to have a pissing contest and weigh out their situations, scenarios, downfalls, wins, whatever, to other people's, but it's always relative. Like it really is. Like there's so much more to the individual equations, like that make it so that the experience or the outcome is it's relative to you and to the situation. Number 9, the law of gender. This law signifies that both masculine and feminine energies exist within everyone and everything. Balancing these energies is essential for harmony and creation. Influencing our experiences and interactions. Now, this is definitely one that's been blown out of proportion, but they're basically just speaking about the energies within both of us, the yin and the yang, like the feminine and the masculine energies, which we all possess. We're not talking more, you know what I mean, about like your adult parts there. Like we're talking about the energies within us. Like I can admit, I possess a lot of feminine qualities. Like I have strong feminine energies. I was raised by my mother. But like I'm very organized, I'm very analytical. Like those are feminine, you know what I mean? Feminine qualities, feminine energies. One doesn't take away from the other. If anything, I've come to really appreciate the more feminine qualities in me as I've learned to denote that it in no way takes away from my masculinity or my gender or my ability to be a man or my definition of one. So the law of gender. Number 10 is the law of rhythm. This law recognizes that everything has its natural cycles and rhythms. Life ebbs and flows, like ups and downs. So like you need to like understand that there's always going to be the up and the down. And a really cool way that I've learned to look at this as of lately is like when you're on a path of self-development and you're introspective, meaning that you're self-aware. Like you know how to analyze yourself. So when you're introspective, you will find and on a path of personal development, meaning that you're getting better day in and day out, little steps, big steps, like you're pursuing getting better day by day. You will find that your ups and downs go like this. Meaning, what used to be your perceived up will become your new down. So like if this was your up and this is your down, right? So you're on and up, you're coming down. And then you come up, but this time you come up a little bit further. So now, you know, and over time we'll go a little bit. And then, you know what I mean, your new down isn't as down as it used to be. And then eventually your new down is actually where your perceived up used to be. So your highs get higher, but so do your lows. So like you need to embrace the ebb and flow of everything. And we all operate on cycles. Like you're not always going to be on fire. Like I actually ran a study on myself to see over the span of a month, typically like what days of the week do I really, you know what I mean? Do I really have that like inspired action got it all in the tank type thing. And like I found that there is like a natural ebb and a flow and a cycle to my energy, my willingness to go all in on things. So I actually strategically now set up my schedule so that things are placed on the days where I'm in the power, in the place in my cycles that is going to be the most powerful place for that scenario. I don't know if that makes sense. And I definitely went off on that one a little bit more, but everything's got it. Everything's got a rhythm to it. Everything's got a ebb and a flow, an up and a down, a yin and a yang. So like, learn to embrace it all. And even just for the contrast point, like if you never had it down, you wouldn't appreciate your up. So by looking at it from like the contrast theory, is like, okay, I got to appreciate the down because it gives validity to what I do appreciate, which is the up. So anyways, I'm rambling, but yeah, law rhythm. Number 11 is the law of perpetual transmutation. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This law states that energy is constantly changing forms. It emphasizes our ability to transform negative energy into positive energy. So, which is true. Like, energy's energy. It doesn't need to be denoted as positive or negative. It's the emotions and it's our perspective and the emotions that we attach to the energy that denotes it as such. So, if you can make a mental shift, you can take what's perceived as a negative energy and harness it into positive energy. And that's the law of transmutation. Like, if you've read Think and Grow Rich, then this is like, which is essentially like the 12 laws. I don't know if you noticed, but he speaks about this, about more in the realm of men transmuting sexual energy, because like most of our energy is sexual. Like, not even gonna get into that actually, but he speaks more about it in the form of the sexual energy, which is more from the masculine like the masculine energy. But it's that anything can be transmuted into another form, or energy can be transmuted into other forms. So just because something not created that energy, but harnessed that energy, it can now be transmuted into its equivalent for something else. Law of gestation. The law of gestation. This law suggests that all things take time to develop and manifest. Just as a seed requires time to grow into a plant, our ideas and desires also need nurturing and patience before they come into fruition. The law of gestation is the part that everybody like that is completely left out of the conversation. Is like, everything takes time. And I think that could be confused with everything happens in its perfect timing. No, everything happens when it's meant to happen. Like, when everything has collectively conspired, it'll happen. It's not usually parallel with our ideal timelines, but it happens when it's meant, like, not when it's, yeah, it happens when it's meant to happen. But it's not like everything happens in its own timing. Like, it's not magical. It's the collection. Like, it's you've taken the inspired action, maintained a positive mindset, and had faith and belief, and you know what I mean, living in harmony with all of the laws. Now there's just that natural period where it's going to sprout from a seed into what it is that you were aspiring to grow. But everything takes time. Like, it really does. So I have 5 questions that I put in my that I pulled from the Instagram story Q&As. So the first question was, what are the 12 universal laws and how do they relate to manifesting? Which I believe I intended in hindsight to do what I just did by listing off the 12 laws and the synopsis to kind of answer that first question. But the definition of the universal laws is like fundamental principles that govern our reality and influence our experiences. So I just listed off the 12 different universal laws. We'll summarize them again really quickly. It's the law of divine oneness, the law of vibration, the law of correspondence, the law of attraction, the law of inspired action, the law of cause and effect, the law of compensation, the law of relativity, the law of gender, the law of rhythm, and the law of rhythm, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, and the law of gestation. So it's a lot, like it really is, but it's such a beautiful thing. Like if you're like me, like you get excited when there's something new to study, something to dig into, like, and it is a lot. Like it is. There's a lot to unpack there and to understand. This video was just going to create a brief overview to even just to create the awareness that they exist and that we are living in either in harmony or out of harmony with them. And you'll find that if you're not getting the results that you're seeking in life, there's a good chance that you're not living in harmony with them. And the only way to start living in harmony with them is through the awareness of them and through intention and implementation. So here's the awareness. You now know that there's 12 universal laws that just as sure as gravity, that if I drop something, it's going to hit the ground, it's going down. That's how these laws work. And if you can reinforce your belief your belief in that, it's only going to help the process. Number 2 from the Q&A, how can I align my thoughts and actions with these laws to improve my manifestation abilities? Well, it's basically providing you like a guideline. Like if you go through the laws specifically, like you start to change how you interpret information, how you perceive things, because there's now a different checks, like more checks and balances involved in your thinking. Like people don't I honestly, like it would mess you right up to understand like how some people's brains are going. But this creates more checks and balances, more governing principles to live by. Like knowing that we're all interconnected may change how you interact with strangers, which is only going to make you more grateful in life and more positive. Like they all feed into one another. Understanding that you have a vibration and a frequency may inspire you to figure out how to raise it. And the way that you know that you successfully have it isn't so much of a feeling, it's just that you start attracting more positive people into your life. And it's like, okay, I'm vibing high. The law of correspondence, that's pretty laid out. The law of attraction, like attracts like. Inspired action, I think it should just be the law of action. It shouldn't be inspired action. Inspired action may afford somebody that the ability to put a little procrastination in there, like they don't need to take action when they're not inspired. That's not true. Like you need to be taking action. There's definitely inspired actions, but it's not the only kind of action you should be taking. Sorry, we can get back to the Q&A. What roles does the law of attraction play in the manifestation process? Well, if you understand that like attracts like, well, you start to become what you're seeking. Like you start to embody the energies and like the actions of the person that you desire to be. Like it really does. Like your thoughts, what you become more conscious of what you're putting out in the world. It's like, okay, like, do I want this to attract this back to me? So if I'm walking around being an asshole to people all day, I'm inevitably attracting some assholes into my day. So like, is that what you're trying to do? And like, it makes you more conscious of it, right? Number 4 is it necessary to understand all 12 universal laws for effective manifesting? No, I still don't. I don't know if you can notice, but like I'm still referring them and reading them. They're just guiding principles. Like the more that you understand them, but it's like it's the implementation point. It's like, what's your access point? Like, you can't just like be constantly studying the 12 laws. Like, you find the implementation points in your life, and therefore that gives you a little thread to pull out about each of the specific laws, and you find ways to garner more understandings and implementations, and before you know it, you know what I mean, you're more living more in harmony with the laws than out of them. And that's a gradual progression, and it just makes it so that like your manifestation efforts are definitely going to be greatly enhanced. Number 5, what are some common misconceptions about manifesting and the universal laws? Honestly, I think it's the missing action. It's the people think that it's all about like their belief and like positive thinking and stuff, when it's both. Like, it's both the action and the belief. And I think that's the popular misconception, is that, you know what I mean, that you, as long as you believe that you're gonna have it, and you're a happy-go-lucky person and stuff. Well, like, if you're not taking any actions towards, you know, actionable steps towards the obtainment of the thing, it also doesn't work. Like, the belief starts to assemble, brings the universe to collectively start assembling the people and situations and scenarios that you need along your journey. But if you're not taking if you're not taking the actions, it's all useless. Like, what's the point in assembling things around somebody that they're not going to utilize? And I'm sure that's exactly how the universe feels about it too, right? So, I don't know. I think we're just probably gonna cut it there. That's the 12 universal laws. I'm gonna cover maybe I'll do a video on each of the laws and get, you know what I mean, get a little bit more in depth on it. It's kind of hard to cover them as a whole, but for this video I just wanted it to serve the purpose that there are 12 universal laws that you're now aware of and can start doing your own personal study. And like I said, I'm going to put the link in the description to the video that I did my own personal study in starting to understand what the 12 universal laws are. Definitely, you know what I mean, putting them into action and everything, that I'm starting to acquire and assemble like my own information and perspectives and awarenesses around the laws that weren't necessarily embodied in that video. But that's the beautiful part about implementation and that action, is like it's going to bring you back more data, more information to continue to move your ball forward. But yeah, so that's the 12 universal laws. I hope that you found the video useful in some way, and that you now have the awareness of the 12 universal laws, and that you are far better off to be living in harmony with them than out of harmony with those laws, and that they're just as sure as gravity. That, like, if I drop this remote, it's going down, it's going on the ground. So the same with the universal laws. So I implore you, do your own study, especially, you know what I mean, if one rained out a little bit more exciting, or something that one of the specific laws that you could really start implementing today and better your process, perfect. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Instagram. It's at I am Coach Dash, and you can always send me a DM. It's actually me. I don't have any VAs or assistants or anything in there. It's actually me. If you want to send me a message and ask any questions, whether it's about the universal laws, about your fitness journey, maybe you got a nutrition question, you can always reach out and ask me. If you haven't, I would like to, if you haven't, you should probably go and check out Growth Gang. It's a community that I run. It's a brotherhood. It feels cheesy even calling it a community. Like, it's a brotherhood of like-minded guys in there. Like, and it's a support network, and a hell of a network. Like, the opportunity, like almost every opportunity that is afforded to me nowadays comes from that network, and it's getting bigger by the day. So go and check it out. It's on the Skool platform, skool.com/growth gang. Put the link down in the description. If you're looking to find some like-minded brothers, people to hold you accountable, people, you know what I mean, who are into the same stuff that you're into, have the same perspectives that you do. Like, maybe you're from a small town and you're really struggling to find people who share the same values and outlooks on life that you do. Well, we're all connected now through the internet, and by creating Growth Gang, I've really given guys like me a place to land. And if you're looking for a place to land, go find Growth Gang on the Skool platform. Love to have you in there. There's a how-to manual for basically anything personal development for men in there. So go check that out. Again, this was the 12 Universal Laws. Until next time, my brothers, let's grow together.